Gwen Stacy is back, and she's here to slay. Marvel, why do you hate me so much? What is this? Welcome back, everyone. We are here because we got a lot of news coming out of ComicsPRO, and I wanted to talk about it. And so I was like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? And then I thought, oh yeah, all of you beautiful people out there, you'll talk comics with me. So I'm here to do that. Let's talk about it. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about Gwen coming back from the dead. That's coming up in a second. But before we get to that, I just quickly want to let you know what ComicsPRO is. If you're like me and you were like, what is all this ComicsPRO news? What is a ComicsPRO? Am I a ComicsPRO? Is it a convention? Well, it's actually kind of a retailer gathering. And basically, after the downfall of Diamond, this is where ComicsPRO has come in. ComicsPRO is actually a volunteer-based, not-for-profit organization. It is a group of comic retailers who just basically want to make sure comics are the best they can be to help grow business and grow the comic industry. PRO, if you're wondering, stands for Professional Retailers Organization. So that means ComicsPRO is Comics Professional Retailer Organization. So it's just focused in the comics realm. Neato. So now that we know about that, let's talk about the first bit of news around sort of ComicsPRO. Or well, this news kind of came out just before ComicsPRO, and then we'll get more into the ComicsPRO news in a minute. Gwen Stacy, we heard she was coming back from the dead. I talked about it on stream before. I didn't believe it. I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. They've always said, Gwen's coming back, Gwen's coming back. And then it turns out to be a clone or something. This is gonna be another clone. Well, it turns out, apparently I'm wrong until they decide to retcon it and make it a clone, as I hope they do, honestly. Because Gwen Stacy is seemingly coming back for real. Yep, she's being dug up this May by Kevin Scott and Stefano Nessi. They are digging her up for a Gwenpool comic. And I don't even know what to say about this. I'm like, it hurts. I read this press release and it literally wounded me. Gwen Stacy's going to be our new Gwenpool in the Earth 616 reality, it seems, even though we already have a Gwenpool in the Earth 616 reality. I mean, I guess she didn't initially come from that reality, and she is the original Gwenpool, and I like Gwenpool as a character. I just don't think we need a dark, edgy version that is Gwen Stacy back from the dead. I don't think that's necessary. And I'm not really here for it, to be honest with you. Gwen's one of those characters that I feel like her loss just shapes so much of who Spider-Man is that we just keep her dead. Why are you digging her up? Put those shovels down, boys. Put them down. But it's happening, so we have to confront this. I actually feel bad because I like Kevin Scott. I haven't read all of his stuff. I know that he did some High Republic stuff that I do want to read. The Star Wars High Republic stuff is on my list of things to check out. But I did really enjoy his Union Jack the Ripper from the Blood Hunt event. I read that and I actually really liked what he did with that. So I feel kind of bad because I feel like there's no way that this story could be good. And I feel bad that he's trapped in it. Even though in the press release, he seems super gung-ho about it. I don't know. I don't know if anyone working on this would be really, truly gung-ho. And this story gets weirder. So Gwenpool, I'm just gonna call her Gwen Stacy because it's gonna get confusing in a second. So Gwen Stacy comes back from the dead and she basically is going to be this Weapon X style character. She's got claws, one on each hand, not 3 or 2, one on each hand. And she is a killing machine. That's kind of what we're spinning her as. She's dark, she's edgy, she's on the scene. And Spider-Man comes in and is trying to figure out, who is this? Is it really Gwen? And to help him is Gwenpool, like actual Gwenpool, like Gwendolyn Poole, whose name, by the way, is spelled wrong in this press release. I love in the press release how they talk about Gwen's death. They say, her death is the most heart-wrenching moment in comic book history. Her return will be the most outrageous. I feel like, just know, who wrote this? I like that the press release just says Marvel. They don't want us to know. The person that wrote this was like, please don't put my name on this, because this is questionable. This is questionable, this entire press release. Read it and weep. So Spidey teams up with Gwenpool to figure out what's really going on with this other Gwenpool, who is Gwen Stacy. Also, apparently, Kate Bishop and Jeph are going to be in this. I don't know why they had to drag my son, Jeph, into this. Why did you drag him into this, Marvel? Jeph is a pure, sweet little boy. How dare you? So that's also gonna happen, which means that I feel like I really need to check it out now because Jeph is in it, and I need to know what they're doing. Jeph, what are they doing to you? Are you gonna be okay? I hope they don't mess you up in this series. So it's gonna be Jeph and Kate Bishop as well appearing, and there's a variant cover by Greg Land. It's just the more things I hear, the more I'm like, So I'll probably be reading at least issue 1 to see if it's as bad as I think it's going to be, but I'm hoping it surprises me somehow. Maybe it can bring us around. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll all be wrong, because do you like the idea of this story? If you do, tell me in the comments what you like. Give me hope, please. I'm begging you. So that's our first little bit of news, which, like I said, technically came out like just before ComicsPRO, but now we got some more news as well. And this is some pretty fun, juicy news in terms of Marvel. Yeah, it's not all bad. Marvel, look, I don't like the Gwen stuff, but I still love you. Call me, Marvel. I miss you. I love you, Marvel. So we've got some very exciting news involving one of our favorite darlings over at Marvel, Jonathan Hickman. Jonathan Hickman obviously being the king of the Krakoan era, the person that gave us that. I mean, there were a lot of other creatives involved, but he was our head of X for a good while. And it sounds like this project might actually be kind of spinning out of some of that Krakoan stuff that he was working on. So basically, Marvel has given him the keys to Cosmic Marvel, which I'm very excited about. There's going to be something new that is just called Imperial right now. We know that it's happening in June of 2025, so mark that month in your calendar and get ready. And the promotional image that we have has a bright red sort of background to it. It's got the Nova helmet, and it looks like it's on rocks, that it's smoking, or there's a dark aura around it. Something's happening with that. Doesn't look great for the helmet, but that is kind of what's going on in the image. And we also get the tagline on it, the description that's on it, that basically just reads, Jonathan Hickman presents The End of the Beginning. Sounds ominous. I like the sounds of that. I like that it's ominous. Now, this is going to be a combination of Nova Corps and Shi'ar technology. Many are thinking, because of these things, that it could actually be a continuation of something that Jonathan Hickman started a while ago, which was a project that was going to come out of what he was building in New Mutants, 2019 New Mutants, back when that book was fresh and new and Hickman was still involved with that book. Something that he was building up there was an Imperial Guard book that he wanted to do, and it would involve Shi'ar technology, the Phalanx, it was going to involve the Starjammers, and it was going to involve the Imperial Guard. So a lot of people are thinking this might be that, but just kind of either reimagined or, you know, just finally coming now. So that should be exciting. And if you don't know about New Mutants, I would highly recommend that you go back and maybe check out volume 1 of New Mutants from 2019 if you missed all that stuff. That is there for you if you want a little bit of a lead in to what this might be, if it is what we think it is, which it might not be, but a lot of people on the internet are talking about that, and I'm also inclined to agree. I think there's enough dots for us to connect there. There's also the fact that Marvel is calling it a cross between House of X and Ultimate Spider-Man, which to me sounds like, yeah, could be some New Mutants continuation. But you know, we didn't just get news from the Marvel side. We also got some news from the DC side. We got a first look at Hush 2, Batman Hush 2, with Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb. And Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb also did a discussion sort of on Batman Hush 2 and did a presentation on it. It sounds pretty cool, honestly. I wasn't super here for Batman Hush 2 when it was announced. I was like, but why though? But the art, I mean, Jim Lee's art, it hits me and then I'm dead because the art's so good. So I might need to read this one. The other thing that I think is really cool about what they're doing with Batman Hush 2 is that Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee talked about this idea of wanting to give comic book shops something to bring people into comics, a good jumping on point, because retailers were telling them that they usually hand out like Hush and the long Halloween to get people into comics. And so they wanted to create a story that would be like that for readers to get them in. So that's what Batman Hush 2 is going to kind of be, but it will still be in continuity, which I think is really cool. So it's going to intro people to the characters so that they don't feel overwhelmed, like they have to read years of exposition. Although I feel like it being a continuation of Batman might still be daunting because I think it's starting in like issue 158 or something like that. Don't quote me on that number. Should I check it? I'll check it, because otherwise people will quote me on it. Yeah, 158, I was right. Okay, cool. But the preview looks pretty great in terms of the art. I am curious to see, you know, once we get more words in there, how I'll feel about it. But overall, it looks pretty interesting. And I like the fact that it's in the main continuity. So if you've been keeping up with stuff, there's still a lot for you to buy into. And it's also technically a good jumping on point as well for new readers. So I think that's cool. So that might be something that you want to check out if you like the look of this art, and if you are also intrigued by the fact that it's a cross between something modern, but also trying to give us kind of a little bit of that classic feel. But that's not all we got for Batman news. Oh, no. We also got this news, which is even more exciting to me somehow than the fact that all this beautiful art we got for Batman Hush 2 is coming. We also have Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez on Batman at DC Comics. That's right. Jimenez is staying on Batman. That's how good Jimenez is. We're not taking him off Batman, but Matt Fraction is going to be coming on and joining him. Batman will also be renumbered to 1 for the 4th time in its entire history as a title. So back to 1s for Batman, which should be interesting. I honestly might need to get this. I've been out of Batman for a bit. Not because I didn't like what Zdarsky was doing, I just was reading other things. But when it comes to Matt Fraction, I love Matt Fraction. I love his run on Hawkeye. It's just one of the best comics I've ever read. And obviously a lot of people probably know him from also his creator-owned stuff with Image. He did Sex Criminals. He's done a few other works there. He's been working on Monarch as well, Legacy of Monsters, doing some TV writing. So he does a lot of cool stuff. And now he's going to be working on Batman, which I think is very exciting. The other cool thing about this story is that it is going to have a connected story, but it's also going to have additional chapters that I believe are going to be standalones. So there'll be a good point too for you to just grab an issue and there'll be like another story in there that's just self-contained. So that might be kind of cool for readers that want to pop in and out. Also, Batman is getting a new costume, which is heavily inspired, I would say, by kind of a 80s Batman look. He's got the gray, he's got the purple, he's got the black, he's got the yellow. I love this color palette for Batman. I really love what they're doing with the look. There's also going to be a new Batmobile, new characters, and they also said they're bringing back obviously some classic characters as well. I'm really hoping, I know he's dead, but I'm really hoping for a Spook return. I know I'm the only one, but come on, maybe this time we'll get Spook back to life. Or I would love some Gentleman Ghost in this, even though Gentleman Ghost is more of a Hawkman and Hawkgirl villain, but you know, he was recently in Batman Caped Crusader, so I feel like it would be kind of cool to put some Gentleman Ghost in there. I guess we'll see what they're gonna do. Back to the Marvel side, and talking about new series, and talking about someone that was just on Batman, Captain America is gonna have a new creative team. Captain America #1 is going to be happening soon, and our creative team for that book is going to be Chip Zdarsky, that's right, who was just on Batman, and Valerio Schitti. So that should be pretty exciting. I love Schitti's art, so I'm very excited to check out this Captain America. Also, Zdarsky has said that his approach to Captain America, it's going to be more grounded. It's going to be a character study, like what he did with his Daredevil run, really wanting to get into the mind of who Steve Rogers is and showcase that in the comic and on the page. Schitti has said it's a really good balance of, you know, the heart, but also the action. And I feel like all of this sounds like it's going to be a really good Captain America run. And speaking of exciting runs that we're going to be having, exciting comics, guess who's getting a 5-issue mini? It's Jeph. Jeph is going to be getting a 5-issue mini. Also, I have to get your U2s. There's a U2s for Jeph, and I really want it. This 5-issue mini is going to be coming to us from a creative team you might be familiar with if you are a fan of It's Jeph, the Infinity comic on Marvel Unlimited, which is the app. And if you aren't reading It's Jeph, what are you doing with your life? There's also physical prints of it. Go read It's Jeph right now. It's easy, it's fast, do it. The creative team being writer Kelly Thompson, who is obviously from It's Jeph, and then we have kind kind of a newer artist, I think, in terms of the Marvel side of things, and that is Tokitokoro, who does manga, I believe, but also from the Marvel side worked on the Infinity series Love Unlimited and did a story with Hulkling and Wiccan, which is super cute. I think I've read that story actually. I think I liked the art in that, so I'm very excited. I'm a little sad, of course, that Gurihiru is not coming back for the interiors, but Gurihiru will be doing some covers, so look out for those covers. And that's going to be a 5-issue mini. It's going to be following Jeph after he accidentally creates a shadow version of himself in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and then has to travel through the Marvel universe to undo his mistake, along the way making friends, making enemies, and trying to just reclaim his good name. The other thing they mentioned in the Jeph the Landshark comic presentation is that Marvel Rivals issue number 1 is also now going to be coming with digital codes that people can use to claim a special unlimited appetite spray for Marvel Rivals. The sprays are basically things that you tag on walls and stuff. So that'll be happening. And if you also have the Marvel Unlimited app, apparently you'll be getting a code for it as well, as long as you subscribe for the Marvel Unlimited app before December 25th, I think, of this year. So just heads up if you like Marvel Rivals, and if you aren't on Marvel Unlimited, or if you wanted to get a copy of the Marvel Rivals comic, that is a cool little bonus for you. Also, if you don't have the Marvel Unlimited app, I'm not sponsored. Marvel, if you ever want to sponsor me for the Marvel Unlimited app, though, I'd be happy to take that sponsorship. But I will say, I love the Marvel Unlimited app. I personally use it, and I really do think it's great value. So just a free... That's just me saying that as myself. I'm not being paid for that. Back to the DC side, let's talk about some summer events that are happening, okay? So DC is going to be doing their Summer of Superman, and talking about that, they got 3 new Superman things for us to get hyped about. So we have a Supergirl series that's going to be by Sophie Campbell, who's going to be doing art and writing. Very cool. We love when someone does art and writes. I think that's so cool. She's going to be taking inspiration, she said, for her run for Supergirl from the costumes from the 70s in the comics. She's also going to be taking inspiration from the 1984 Supergirl movie and the CW Supergirl show. So if you like any of those things, might be a cool series for you to check out. We're also going to be getting a variant cover by Art Germ, which I love the look of. I might need to get this one, guys. I really like Art Germ's art, so yeah, it looks great. And obviously, Art Germ also worked on the design for her new costume, which I think looks fire. 10 out of 10 would cosplay that costume. But that's not all we're getting. We're also getting Krypto, the last dog of Krypton. And it's written by one of my favorites, Ryan North, fellow Canadian Ryan North. Woo, woo. Also doing Fantastic Four right now, which I need to catch up on. The art here is going to be by Mike Norton. And I also gotta say, I love the variant cover that we have by Dustin Wynn here. That is a beautiful variant cover. Really cool thing that I'm interested about with this, which is going to be a 5-issue mini. Jeph, are you feeling like DC is and you? I feel like there's a DC Marvel parallel here. DC is Krypto. Marvel has Jeph for 5-issue minis about cuties. There's going to be no thought bubbles. Krypto's not going to talk. So I assume a lot of it is going to be kind of a wordless story journey, which I always find really interesting in comics, and I'm really interested to see how they explore that. Obviously, the human characters in it can probably talk, but conveying what's going on for Krypto as an animal without having that is going to be, I think, a really interesting journey, and I can't wait to see what we get, and I hope it's amazing. It's obviously also giving me a little bit of It's Jeph, because obviously in the Infinity comics, there's not really a lot of speaking in those. But another wordless comic that I really liked in recent years was the Jean Grey, Emma Frost one-shot that the two of those ladies had together, which is really great. So that one's written by Jonathan Hickman, Russell Dodderman on art, and then colors by Matt Wilson. I just like when people don't necessarily have words to tell a story, because it's interesting how creative it usually makes creative teams get. And finally, we have a Superboy returning in Action Comics issue 1087. And that will be a new creative team that's taking over for Action Comics. So that's going to be Mark Waid with art by Skylar Patridge, which that sounds like it's going to be cool. I don't know if that's the one I'm going to be jumping to, but we're going to be returning to a time when we have Superboy, who's in his teen years, and we're also kind of doing a little update on Smallville as well, and just kind of modernizing it a little bit. So kind of feeling a little classic, but a little bit of modern, which I like the idea of that. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I like Mark Waid, so might be something to check out. We'll see. And then on the Marvel side, we have a Marvel event that will be happening, which is called Bring on the Bad Guys, which is taking inspiration from a book that Stan Lee wrote about the origins of villains over at Marvel Comics, which I believe was also a little bit controversial in terms of Stan's crediting, obviously, of creation of characters, which I'm not sure if it's referred to in that book, but yeah. But I digress. Obviously, Stan Lee is a huge figure in comics, but is also sometimes a controversial one. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. We are going to focus on various iconic villains who will each be getting their own one-shots, and altogether there's going to be an overarching story that's led by Mark Guggenheim, and it sounds like it's going to be centered around Mephisto. So the first 3 issues, the first 3 one-shots that we're getting are going to be, or the first 4, I'm assuming it's going to be the first 4 actually, is in July, and that'll be Doom, Green Goblin, Abomination, and Loki. And then after that, we're going to get Red Skull, Dormammu, and Mephisto in August. And there's going to be a new villain on the scene. I know if you're thinking, oh, not a lot of lady villains, that's because it's also based on, you know, Bring on the Bad Guys, and the cover for Bring on the Bad Guys, all the guys. But there is a new female villain who's going to be appearing here, and that is a villain named Sister Sorrow. And we got a look at her design, which I gotta say looks pretty fire. I think Sister Sorrow is going to somehow be involved with whatever Mephisto is doing. And what Mephisto is doing is apparently trying to get souls, apparently to power an ancient artifact of some kind, or an artifact of some kind anyways, that is called the Soul Forge. Once powered, this will give Mephisto control over all human souls. And so that's what Mephisto's up to. Obviously, it has to be stopped. Dr. Doom is one of the people looking to stop Mephisto here, and Sister Sorrow is somehow involved with some of that. Probably a cool twist character. There'll obviously be other people working on these books, but I think all we know of right now is Mark Guggenheim, so stay tuned for more names. And finally, this was something that I think started off ComicsPRO, but I saved the best for last for you guys, and that is Amalgam is back. Maybe. We're not really sure what's going to be happening, but Marvel and DC did confirm Mary Javins, who's our editor over at DC, our editor-in-chief, and CB Cebulski, who's our editor-in-chief over at Marvel, did confirm that they're going to be coming together to work on 2 collab one-shots, which is very exciting. Obviously, it's been a long time since these 2 have collabed. They did the omnibus for Amalgam, and while they were working on that last year, they said they had such a good time that they just wanted to do more work together. So we're going to be getting Marvel/DC, which is going to be coming from Marvel, and then we're going to be getting DC/Marvel, which is going to be coming from DC. But obviously, I imagine even for each of those one-shots, both publishers are going to be working together in terms of what characters are being used and what's happening and all of that stuff. Very exciting stuff. So I don't know if it'll be quite Amalgam, but it feels very Amalgam, especially what it was born out of, which was them working on, you know, the Amalgam stuff, the collections. And other than that, we have a little bit of extra news that I just wanted to tell you about. So I'm just gonna kind of bing bang boom it out here. We have Boom Studios. They're gonna be cutting back on publishing. They're gonna be doing less titles. So if you've noticed in your solicits, less Boom stuff, they did address that, and they said that they just want to focus on quality and making sure they're marketing things. So a little sad to hear, but hopefully it's a shift that works for them. They are celebrating 20 years as well, so I'm rooting for you, Boom. We also got some previews of some Absolute Universe stuff. We got previews of Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern, which I'm going to be checking out, and then also giving you guys an update video with where I'm at with the series that we have so far in Absolute, because I kind of just want to have an Absolute conversation. So make sure, if you want to hear me talk more about that, that you are subscribed and you have the bell notifications turned on. I've already covered some Absolute stuff, so maybe we'll put a video up here at the end for you to click. And finally, Oni has a sort of Absolute Adventure Time that's coming out, which looks really fun. It's kind of a re-exploration of Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, but they have a computer princess. It sounds really fun. And Oni's also going to be doing their own compact versions of comics, which is great. I love the compacts that we're getting. If you don't know about them, they're small. They're like the size of almost like a manga book, and it's an entire run of a comic just in a small tiny version. You can just fit in your bag really easy. That's everything I have on this. I've already talked for far too long, so that is my big update for you. Let me know what you're excited about. Let me know what you're nervous about. Let me know what you want to read. Let me know what you maybe want to read to see if it's as bad as you think. And we'll talk. But for the most part, a lot of good news, some concerning news, but mostly good news. I'll see you next time, and until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye! And click this, it's probably absolute.